Hello everyone and welcome to another Versus Video Deck Tech. I am BBD and I'm joined again by...
CVM.
Yep, and we are going to be battling again with some new Fate Reforged cards, so...
Now that the whole spoiler is out.
Yep. I know that I personally read a lot of comments saying they wanted to see Manifest, so I'm going to be playing with my boy, Whisperwood Elemental.
Yeah, just you'll 4/4 for 5 with green mana and its casting cost.
Yeah, he's just he's a real country elemental here. He's just pretty classic elemental. But anyway, I'm playing with a Sultai mid-rangey deck. I don't know what you want to really call it, Sultai Delve, Sultai something. But basically, we're just playing a lot of really good cards and hoping it works out. And there's a lot of new cards in the deck, so let's go ahead and look at it and see, what we have access to here. So to start things off, we have Sideboard Wayfinder and Sidisi, which will dump cards in our graveyard, and we're going to use Murderous Cut and new card Tazagur the Golden Fang to be able to utilize these cards in our graveyard. And I think Tazagur is a very powerful card, especially in conjunction with Sideboard Wayfinder. Being able to cast him on turn 3, he has Siege Rhino stats, basically. So he's like, kind of like Hooting Mandrills, but with a lot of upside because that extra point of toughness means he doesn't die to Stoke the Flames. And he has the ability to generate card advantage as the game goes on as well.
Yep.
So he has the ability for 2 and then blue-green hybrid, to you mill 2 cards into your graveyard, and then your opponent picks a non-land card that goes back to your hand.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, so it may seem like there's a lot of situations where that's not great. Maybe just getting a Sideboard Wayfinder or something late in the game is not great, but you have the ability to use Murderous Cut and Tazagur himself to kind of sculpt your graveyard such that you're going to get good cards off of it. Yep. So maybe instead of Murderous Cutting all your lands away, now you want to be Murderous Cutting your Sideboard Wayfinders and like random creatures away and leave the lands in there because they can't choose land with Tazagur.
Yeah, this definitely changes the dynamic a little bit for the deck.
It does. Another card that we're playing is Warden of the First Tree. And this is basically the Figure of Destiny style card from the new set that basically you can kind of level him up along the way. He doesn't actually have the level up ability, but...
Which is fortunate because sorcery speed sucks.
Yeah, level up was a sorcery speed, and this can be done at instant speed, but you can... he starts as a 1/1 for 1. For 1 and a black-white, you can turn him into a 3/3. Black-white hybrid. For 2 black-white, you can turn him into a 3/3 with lifelink and trample. And then for 6 mana, you can turn him into a... you can give him 5 +1/+1 counters. So you can actually activate the 4th ability over and over again. Yep. It's not something you only have to do one time. Although I should point out that you have to be able to activate the next step in the ability chain.
You have to have done the previous.
You have to have done the previous step. So you can't just go 1/1 to, 5 +1/+1 counters.
That'd be cool.
He has to already be a lifelink, trampling, 3/3, etc. So definitely an interesting creature. He's basically a 3/3 for 1, sort of. He's basically a 3/3 for 2. But he has upside as you flood out or as the game goes long, much like Rakshasa Death Dealer, where like the later in the game, the better the creature gets, but it's fine on turn 2 as well.
Yep.
And then we have Courser and Sidisi, and 1 Farika and some removal spells. But lastly, we have this Whisperwood Elemental creature that is 5 mana for basically 6 power. You get a 4/4, and then at the end of turn, you also get a 2/2 as well. And the 2/2 is not just any 2/2 as well. It's basically you manifest the top card of your library, which means that you get to basically turn the top card of your library into a morph creature. And if it's a creature, you can unmorph it for its casting cost. So, if we hit like a Sidisi or something, we can, unmorph it as an actual Sidisi for 4 mana and then attack with it and get all Sidisi's abilities and things like that. So it's basically a 2/2 every end step, but with a little bit of occasional upside and sometimes blowout potential as well.
Absolutely. Now, I really like that it manifests as opposed to just making a 2/2 token, because when it dies, it goes to your graveyard and helps fuel Delve. So it's definitely much better than just a flat-out token in this type of deck. Definitely.
And also, it has the ability to basically give you Wrath protection. So you can sacrifice it, and until end of turn, whenever any of your non-token, non-face down creatures
non-token
die.
face-up creatures.
Yeah, non-token face-up creatures die, you get to manifest the top card of your library. So if your opponents end hostilities, you can sack the elemental, and then when your Wayfinder and Courser and Sidisi die, you get to manifest 3 cards. So you just get to put 6 power back on the board. And maybe one of those cards is like a Courser or something, and you can actually unmorph it and get to use that ability as well. So a lot of sweet things with Whisperwood Elemental, and I feel like it could be pretty good in Standard. I'm not sure what the best shell for it is, but I wanted to try it out in this one and see how it goes. Maybe it's actually really good.
Yeah, I feel like it's either going to be a Huntmaster of the Fells or a Scion of Vitu-Ghazi. It's either just going to be really, really good and become a staple, or it's just going to be something that looks awesome on paper and just doesn't really pan out because of the way the format is.
I did play a lot of Scion of Vitu-Ghazi, so I'm not sure I can agree with the doesn't pan out comment.
I still don't think it panned out.
Didn't it, though? I think it did. I think it panned out. Maybe. Anyway, that is the main deck for Sultai stuff in my trade binder. Let's go ahead and take a look at the sideboard. All right, we are back with the sideboard for this sweet old deck. And to start things off, we have 3 Ashioks and 2 Kioras. So one thing I really like about Sultai is the ability to change directions in sideboard games where people may be overloaded on removal against you, and then you can get them with Planeswalkers or vice versa. And I also think Ashiok's just one of the best cards in the format against the whip decks as well. They don't have a lot of pressure to kill it quickly, and they have so many powerful cards that you want access to. So, being able to plus and hit a Doomwake Giant or a Courser or a Sidisi or any just super powerful cards like that, it's really awesome. Sometimes even if you hit a Hornet Queen, you can just +2 again and then put Hornet Queen into play. So I think Ashiok's insane against those decks and just a good threat in a variety of matchups. And then same with Kiora is just a really good threat against things like Abzan Aggro or other decks of that ilk. I really like Kiora in those matchups a lot, and it's just a source of card advantage in control matchups and things like that as well.
She also ultimates really fast.
She does, yeah. And also decks like this usually have a lot of really defensive creatures, you're making zombies, you're making manifest tokens and things like that. So, there's a lot of easy ways to protect a Kiora as well. Second Pharika for the whip matchups, where being able to exile cards from their graveyard pretty much just shuts off their ability to beat you a lot of times, and doesn't matter that they're really getting snakes if they can't, the snakes aren't, they still trade with the State or Wayfinder or whatever. Sometimes it's hard for them to really capitalize on the snakes, but being able to get rid of their Hornet Queen when they try to whip it back is pretty important. Another downfall for other decks that are going to be featuring Planeswalkers in post-board match games, some Drowns, because I think that the Jeskai token stacks and things are going to be pretty important, which is another reason why I actually have Bile in my main, which I didn't mention that. Not a usual card for a deck like this, but I expect to see a lot of Hordeling Outbursts and the like. So, and then a couple of Thoughtseize and some Treasure Cruise, just for some of the grindier matchups where we want to strip their hand of relevant cards and or generate card advantage ourselves. I feel like we're not using our graveyard as effectively as we could be as well, so maybe Treasure Cruise should even be a main deck card.
It definitely has potential.
I mean, we only have Murderous Cut, and Tazagur as Delve spells, but we have Seder Wayfinders and Sidisi, so a lot of times we're going to be flooding our graveyard with stuff and not have enough cards to utilize it. So I could definitely see some Treasure Cruises being pretty sweet in the deck as well. But anyway, that is the Sidisi Sultai deck, and hopefully it's pretty sweet, and hopefully you'll stick around and watch the games themselves.